Episode 1 of season 2 is not off to a great start. Mason's here immediately, and it's an episode about how he wants to be taught coding. Babe tries to use that to spend time with him, but it ends up not working out because, she's too out there. And it turns out that the reason he wanted to learn coding was to get back with his ex-girlfriend that dumped him. I didn't really care for this episode. Episode 2 isn't very good either. It's Dub wants to be mayor. He doesn't get the thing because he hates babies. Nobody will elect somebody that hates babies, apparently. That's literally part of the plot. The third episode, Babe buys a bench and she spends $60,000 on it, which is apparently half the budget that they make in like a year or something. And now they got to figure out a way to, use the budget more. But it doesn't work out. Episode 4 is just very creepy. Mason's moving to Florida. It's their way to write him out the show, I suppose, because I don't think he's mentioned again after this episode. It's just very weird. She makes like this virtual game to spend time with him. It's very creepy. They do acknowledge in the episode that is creepy, but that doesn't make it better. It's very creepy. It reminds me of, how AI is nowadays, making a virtual person to have a relationship with. So in that way, the episode is ahead of its time, but very weird episode. Episode 9 is about how they have to make a game, but Kinsey is cut out of the picture, so she's really mad about that, and Kinsey and Babe quit being friends for a little bit. Babe is able to become her friend again by lying. I don't know what kind of message that sends to kids. Episode 6 is about how Double G's never before mentioned brother is getting married, and he doesn't want Double G at the wedding, but they end up convincing him to let Double G go, and it goes wrong. But his brother also is happy with him at the end of the day because he gave him a bunch of money. I vividly remember the ending of this episode for some reason. It was something that's always stuck with me, with the fact that they just dump quarters on the wedding. It's a very crazy ending. Episode 7 is about how they're arguing how to make this game. They have like a bunch of different ideas, but they can't decide which one, so they just put them all together. Episode 8, they make a restroom sharing app called TNP, and it ends up not working out because somebody hacks their tablet and breaks their game. Episode 9 introduces Llama Llama Spit Spit, but it honestly really isn't in the episode that much, which is crazy. This episode's the title. It's mainly about how Babe wants to get her picture on the wall on Fooders, so she'll get like a better table and special ketchup and stuff. I did think that the joke with Double G immediately ruining it for them, even though he was the one that was going to get it on the wall in the first place, was pretty funny. And I really do like the reoccurring character of the guy who works at Fooders. He's pretty funny. Gameshakers Part 1 and 2 both heavily feature Llama Llama Spit Spit, which is crazy to me because the previous episode was supposed to be about Llama Llama Spit Spit. The manager of Fooders blackmails Double G's son, Triple G, Trip, to try and buy a van, but everything ends up working out. I believe I couldn't find anything online that Dan Schneider plays a character in this episode who just makes a bunch of weird faces and doesn't really talk. It really looks like Dan Schneider, but when I tried to Google if he made an appearance on the show, it says he didn't. And I did do minus AI. I didn't listen to what the AI overview said. I couldn't find anything about him making a cameo in this show. He's made cameos on his shows before, like iCarly. I believe he was in Sam and Cat too. Anyways, episode 12, they tried to put a Let's Play account to help promote their games, but it doesn't work because Hudson messes it up. It's a fine episode. Episode 13 was one of my favorite episodes as a kid and one I still remember. Babe and Kenzie try and figure out who Freddie ended up actually liking, and iCarly, and before he can say what his opinion on it is, they get kicked out by security. One of the security guards is Justin's student from Wizards of Waverly Place. Episode 14 apparently is the one that's about Babe and Kenzie quitting being friends. I guess the other one was a different episode. I guess I read the description wrong or something, or they put the same description twice. I'm gonna go see what that episode was real quick. Okay, episode 5 was actually about some famous celebrity that Kenzie really liked. She didn't really like Kenzie. I didn't really care for that episode either. It was pretty funny that she basically ruins her life in one day, though. Makes her boyfriend break up with her by accident and does all this kinds of crazy shit. I would say one of the things is Kenzie's fault, though most of them are just like, she didn't realize that the girl didn't like this or this thing. At one point, to make up with her, she shoves food in her mouth, which you don't know what allergies she has. You don't know what she's allergic to. Why would you do that? It could have went way worse than it did, but it turns out that she had made like something with meat in it, and the celebrity was a vegetarian, so she was pissed at Kenzie. Episode 15 is about how this girl wants nothing to do with Trip, but she finds out his dad is Double G, so she tries to spend time with him. So Babe and Kenzie try to make Trip realize that, but it turns out that he didn't care. He knew that she was just using him, but she was pretty, so he was fine with it. Episode 16 is about how Double G and the Gameshakers get into an argument about who's more stupid, Bunny or Hudson. So they switch people, and Hudson goes to work for Double G and Bunny works for the Gameshakers, and Bunny messes everything up, but Hudson's really good. But they end up just ruining it for Hudson by telling him that this person's gonna hurt Double G, and he tries to protect Double G, and that ruins the deal, and Double G fires Hudson. I will say that there is something of a continuity error in this. I'm not somebody that usually points it out, but in season 1, Double G is eating shrimp puffs, and he clearly loves them. He doesn't want to leave them, but Babe tells him that he has to, and he goes with her. In this episode, it's revealed that Dub is allergic to shrimp, because Hudson accidentally makes him eat shrimp. It's just very stupid. Why didn't they make a different food allergy? Episode 17 is not a very good episode, honestly. It's about how Double G's pig died, and they try and make him happy. They end up making him happy by turning his pig into a drone so he'll never have to say goodbye. Just a very creepy ending. In episode 18, they want to get to know each other better, so they start telling each other things about each other. I will say Double G never tells them a secret about himself. Like, that's the whole thing, is everybody's telling a secret about themselves. Bunny tells one, Ruthless tells one about how he didn't realize that pickles and cucumbers were the same thing, and stuff like that. But Double G never goes, which kind of annoys me. Everybody went but him, and it's not like he gets interrupted or anything. But, Babe and Kinsey once again quit being friends because this time Kinsey reveals that she once hit a girl in the eye with a peach. And it turns out that was Babe, and Babe's pissed about it because she had to get surgery. In the end, Kinsey tries to compromise by saying, hey, I'll let you throw a peach at me. Babe decides not to do it, but Kinsey ends up getting a peach in her eye anyway. I would say it was very weird that they don't want to go to the hospital with Kinsey. Because, just a few episodes ago, they said that girl was selfish for not staying in the hospital with Trip. But, I guess they are kids. They're going to be hypocritical sometimes. Episode 19 was also one that I remembered pretty well for some reason. It was about how Kinsey installed cameras after a break-in, which it wasn't even a break-in. We find out that Double G did it. So it wasn't even technical break-in. He even brings back the stuff. It is broken, but he brings it back. Apparently, a skunk sprayed some of his money, so he tells Hudson that he wants him to clean it, and if he gets it clean, he'll let him have $1,000. Hudson does get it smelling good, but it's like a pile of ashes now because he boiled it too long. Double G gets pissed, and Hudson asks for his money, and Double G just puts some of the ashes in his pants. There's also a joke where Triple G picks his nose. Episode 20 is about how Trip asks Babe for romantic advice, and she assumes that he's trying to get advice to date her, but it's actually his friend Chuck. And it's an okay episode. It ends with her finally revealing that she thought that he was trying to ask her out and him laughing. One last thing I want to mention is I forgot what episode it was in, but I think it was pretty funny that they have Trip eating a bag of Cheetos in one episode, and they rip the Cheeto logo off, but you can still tell a little bit that it's a Cheetos bag. I remember that as a kid for some reason. That I noticed that as a child when I was fucking 13 years old. I don't know why they didn't change it or put it in a different bag or something. They usually make up chips and put real chips in it. Yet here he is eating a bag of Cheetos that just has the word Cheetos kinda ripped off. And there was one thing I did forget to mention too, was that in season 1 there's an episode about how Bunny and Ruthless beat up some kids. Yet then there's another episode where they won't beat up kids because they're not allowed to. I did think that was weird. And last thing, I was kind of disappointed that the reoccurring teacher, he was in 4 or 5 episodes in season 1, was only in one episode this season for one scene in the last episode of season 2. I hope we see a little bit more of him this season.